Buenos dias. So I'm going to do this in English. I would try to do it in Spanish, but you would not understand a word I said. So let's do this in English. It's my great pleasure to be here. As I told the group last night, we had a dinner for all of the speakers and the press last night. And as I told the group last night, this is it's my honor to be invited to be here for the sixth time to speak at this conference. The work that Rosa and the Development Solutions Foundation is doing is so vitally important to the economic development here in Medellin, the economic development in Colombia, and quite frankly, to the economic development in the whole region in Latin America. Because startup entrepreneuring is so important to the development of an economy and the rise of everybody in that. So I'm here to talk to you about this today from the perspective of an American startup entrepreneur. So my life has been that of a startup entrepreneur and an investor. So those are the perspectives I'm going to give you. Hopefully this will be fun. I'm going to try to spend a little time talking about what it means to be a startup entrepreneur. I think many of you are here because that's what you're interested in. And some of the lessons that I've learned over the course of my career in doing this for 30 years. So you're thinking about becoming a startup entrepreneur. Congratulations. Be careful what you wish for. It's an amazing opportunity, but it's not as glamorous as people think it is. So startup entrepreneurs are in fact innovators. We're the people that create the new things that make life better, make life more efficient, cure disease, create things like AI. We're innovators. But what is innovation? We've all talked about innovation. We've all taken courses on innovation. What is innovation? There's many definitions for innovation. I'm going to propose today our definition for innovation, and the definition that we believe is that of the startup entrepreneur and what they do. Innovation is a significant movement, significant improvement along a main parameter of value. Now, those sound like fancy words. What is a main parameter of value? A main parameter of value is something about something that's going to affect someone making a purchase decision, making a decision to give you some of their money to get whatever you've got in order to make that, to get the benefit of whatever that is. That is a main parameter of value. So there's lots of things that are called innovations, but are they really innovations? Are they really innovations if business isn't done as a result of them? So that is what we use as our basis as we think about value creation, and about what innovation means to us as entrepreneurs. But what do entrepreneurs do? What do we really do? Some people say, as entrepreneurs, we're dreamers. What are we, dreamers? I would say no, we're not. We're not dreamers. Entrepreneurs are doers. Entrepreneurs are the ones who think about where other people see problems. Entrepreneurs see opportunities. Wow. Okay, that's a big problem. Entrepreneurs say, yeah, there's a problem there. Let's do something about it. Let's fix that problem. So consequently, I propose that as entrepreneurs, we're not dreamers. We really are doers. We think about what's next and what if. Really important questions. What's next and what if? What if this is going to happen? And what's next? What should we do about it? So the entrepreneurs, this works. There we go. Many of the things that we see around us every day, whether it's the phones that I see some of you have in your hands, whether this is timer, whether it's the electronics that are in this microphone that I'm using today, whether it's the sequencing of the human genome or artificial intelligence or cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, blockchain, or the dreamer that says we're going to, before our generation is over, we're going to be on Mars. We're going to have colonized Mars. Honestly, it's not the large corporations that do that. It's the large corporations that may, in fact, actually make money from that at some point in time in the future. But every one of those things on the screen was created by entrepreneurs. One of these dreamers, not one of these dreamers, one of these doers who said, I see, what if we could take and make computers think? As opposed to just do what we tell them to do, what if we could make computers think? Artificial intelligence. What if we could take and understand what does the human genome really truly mean? How do we sequence the human genome? And what are we going to do with that? Well, we all see the benefits today from new approaches to curing diseases, new approaches to extend life, new approaches to fix minor problems, things like acne, things like, all kinds of minor problems are being made possible for today. And our quality of life is so much better because we understand the human genome. We have entrepreneurs to thank for that. And we have people like all of you sitting in the room today to thank for that, for the things that we're going to get benefit from in the future as a result of innovation, entrepreneuring, and you thinking about the questions, what's next and what if. That scene doesn't look so well. Oh, okay. But who were the first entrepreneurs? Who were the first startup entrepreneurs? I think we're going to find that this is not a recent phenomenon. This is a phenomenon that goes back for many, many centuries, in fact. And if this would work. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think most of you would recognize the picture up there. That's Christopher Columbus. Believe it or not, Christopher Columbus, yes, he did discover what we call the New World. All of us are here in this part of the world today, in part because Christopher Columbus discovered it. So he was an explorer. He was a voyager, but yet he was something else. Christopher Columbus was in fact an entrepreneur. Now, I think probably many of you recognize that picture. That's Queen Isabella of Spain. Now, Queen Isabella also played a major role in entrepreneuring because in order to be a successful entrepreneur, what does it take? It takes capital, it takes money, it takes investment. So what did Queen Isabella do? Queen Isabella believed in Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus said, I only had some money and I only had a couple of ships. I think I could find a new trade route to India. If only I see an opportunity, I see a problem. I think let's solve it. And Queen Isabella believed in it. So if we look at this, what is Christopher Columbus and what is Queen Isabella? Christopher Columbus was the very first entrepreneur, or one of the very first entrepreneurs. And Queen Isabella was one of the very first venture capitalists. And I think that the best way to learn about people is to learn about what they said, to look at their quotes, to look at their words, because our words tell us what we're really thinking. And Christopher Columbus said, by prevailing over all obstacles and all distractions that one may unfailingly arrive at his chosen destination. Now, for all of us that are startup entrepreneurs, or those of you that want to be startup entrepreneurs, it's all about identifying a destination and finding a path to get to that destination. Now, that's a startup entrepreneur's thinking, in his words. What did Queen Isabella say? Queen Isabella said, I the undertaking from my own crown of castle and my and am ready to pawn my jewels to defray the expenses of it if the treasury should be found inadequate. That's an investor. Queen Isabella was truly a venture capitalist. She was ready to put her jewels, her wealth at risk and believe in this entrepreneur who said, I'm going to find a new trade route to the Far East. Now, Christopher Columbus didn't find a new trade route to the Far East, but he did find something that was even more valuable than that. And that's the new world that we're all a part of. And that tells us another story about startup entrepreneur or about entrepreneuring in general. Is where you think you're going to go at the beginning is very often not where you're going to end up in the end. So it's really not about the destination as much as it's about the journey. And it's about creating the value along the way. And usually that destination that you arrive to at the end is a destination that is better and more special than what you would have imagined at the very beginning. And that's true with most startups that we work with, most startups that we founded, and most startups that we invest in today. Truth is back here. Okay. I'm not sure what you keep trying until it works. Who are the modern entrepreneurs? Who are people that we look to today and we say, aha, when I think of this person, I think of an entrepreneur. You guys got another clicker? Okay, this is not catching up. This is supposed to build, but it didn't build. But I think if you look at all those people up there, some of them you're probably going to immediately recognize, some of them you may not quite recognize. But these are all people that are highly successful entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs and investors. Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize for microfinance. So he was a economist. Steve Jobs, Apple Computer. Nicholas Negroponte. Nicholas Negroponte is one you may not recognize. The Nicholas Negroponte came out of the media lab at MIT. He's very well known. And what he's holding there are, this goes back 15 years, but what he's holding there are laptops, or one laptop per child. And his dream was, and his company was, to provide a laptop computer for every child anywhere in the world in school so they had access to computers at a cost that everyone could afford. Elon Musk, everybody knows Elon Musk. He's as brilliant as he is crazy and controversial. And obviously in the corner here, we've got Bill Gates, Microsoft, Gates Foundation, and so forth. So these are all people that we all recognize as entrepreneurs, but they all have something to tell us. If they were standing here on this stage today, they would have some lessons that they could give us. And I think that the lessons that they give us, again, are just as important coming through their quotes, just like Columbus and Queen Isabella had quotes. Let's see what they have to say about entrepreneurs. First, let's try Jeff Bezos. Or not. Or not. IT guys, you got a AV, you have another clicker? There's another one up there? Click there. Clicker. Well, maybe I have to stand at the podium. Oh, God. All right, I'll wander back to the podium. Jeff Bezos said failure and inventions are inseparable twins. Failure and entrepreneuring go hand in hand. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But he talked about the importance of understanding and accepting failure. Muhammad Yunus. Muhammad Yunus. Everybody are born entrepreneurs. Some get the chance to unleash that capacity, Some never get the chance to unleash that capacity and never know that he or she has that ability, has that capacity. Now, for all of you that decide that you're going to pursue opportunities as entrepreneurs, well, I hope you do, because you all have that capacity. And one of the reasons that we are working in Latin America today, and one of the reasons I spend as much time here as I do, I spend half my time there, looking after our operations in Latin America, is because I came here to the very first conference, the very first DSF conference that Rosa and her team threw. And here in Medellin, and I looked out at the room of people that were sitting there, and I said, there's something special going on here. There's something special about the entrepreneurial spirit, the entrepreneurial creativity happening here initially in Medellin, initially with the Paisas. And I said, I called back to Boston to my partners and I said, guys, I think we need to understand this, because there is something happening in Latin America and most of the US investment community is not paying attention to it. So it's this conference and the spirit that all of you have in this room that truly brought us here. I guess I have to be here. Thank you, Dr. Albert. Okay. Doesn't fit my style, but okay. What about the clicker? Just put a button on the podium. Okay. Anyway, Nicholas Neconte is companies can't really see beyond their current customer base. Interesting thought statement there, a statement there. They explicitly do things to protect their customers. And the last person to want real change is your customer. This is why most new ideas come from small companies that have nothing to lose. What he's really speaking about there is risk. We as entrepreneurs, we're going to talk more about this later. We as entrepreneurs embrace risk because we say we've got nothing to lose. Companies, on the other hand, and I'm sorry, I know there's some company executives in the room. Companies, on the other hand, avoid risk because they have something to lose. That's the difference between a company and a startup entrepreneur. That's the difference between, let's go back to the dreamer that says, I think I can dream a way to solve that problem. Podium. Bill Gates. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking that they can't lose. Again, an interesting thought buried in that. We talked a little bit about failure. We're going to talk more about failure. Failure is really our best teacher, and failure is our friend. Okay. Steve Jobs. Now, Steve is known as, and Apple is known as one of the most innovative companies in the world. Apple really isn't an innovative company. Apple isn't a leading theater. Apple is a follower. But what Steve said was, you can't just ask customers what they want, because by the time you give it to them, okay, you can't just ask customers what they want and then try to give it to them. By the time that you give it to them, they want something new. This kind of goes to, I don't know how many of you have ever duck hunted, but does a duck hunter shoot at the duck? No. If he shoots at the duck, by the time that the shot gets to the duck is over here and he's shooting here. Duck hunters always shoot ahead of the duck. So Steve Jobs understood that you can't ask the customer what they want because they'll tell you what they want at that moment. What you have to understand is, what is the customer going to want in the future, and deliver that to. And that's just what Apple has been so very, very good at over the years. But it's a solid lesson. And then we'll go to my favorite wild-eyed entrepreneur, Elon Musk. Some people don't like change. You need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. Change is what is our stock and trade as entrepreneurs. It's what we exploit. But he said something else. It's gonna come right here. Even this isn't working anymore. Okay, okay, back. It's got a delay. That's the problem. It's got a massive delay. Said you want to be entrepreneurs? Look what Elon says about it. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. Now, I know some of our cohort companies are here. I'm looking at one right here. I'm looking at a couple out there. Is that a true statement? It really is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. But it isn't one of the most fun things you've ever done. So it's not for everybody. And I'm here to tell you that it's not for everybody. But if you want to take the journey, come on, jump on with us. It is a fun ride. Do I get extra time for this? So what are the defining characteristics of an entrepreneur? I think there's a battery problem here, guys. Okay, here. You can try it, but I think what they need is change the battery. No. Okay, what are the defining characteristics of entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs are visionary, they're risk takers. They're the engine that drives change in society. Let's try this one. Great, thank you. Okay, perfect. Let's see if this works better. But and this is a fact that I think is important to note. This speaks to the US, that more than 50% of the private sector jobs created in the US in the last 4 years were created by companies that have been in business less than 2 years. In other words, they're created by startups. It speaks to the importance of the entrepreneurial community in terms of driving economic development in a country so that all boats can in fact rise with the tide. And countries that this one of the things that has made the United States what it is the United States recognize the importance of that in the United States has put policies in place to support that. And there's a government panel coming up after this is done. And I hope that's a conversation that the government panel has while they're up next. Okay, got it. But I'm a slow learner, guys. What can I tell you? But is it all vision? Is it really all about vision as an entrepreneur? So let's talk about some everyday skills that entrepreneurs really need to have. All of you are going to need to have if in fact you're going to take this journey. First skill, be comfortable with ambiguity. Be comfortable with the unknown. This is all about unknown. If it had been done before, there would be somebody doing it already. So be comfortable with ambiguity and be good at writing effective emails. Communications, Mark is laughing. Mark is one of my partners. Communication is one of the most important skills you're going to have as an entrepreneur, is the ability to tell a story, the ability to get to motivate people to do what you want them to do. So be really good at writing effective emails. Managing your time. There's never enough time. Never, ever enough time. Be good at managing it. Be good at research. Make Google, make ChatGPT your friend, because research is so important to helping you to set the course of your journey and know where you're going and know where not to go. So you have to be really good at research. Mark, my partner here, is one of the absolute best at research. Understand the AI. This is a new one. This wouldn't have been on there 2 years ago. Understand AI, because everything that you're going to do is going to, everything that you in this room are going to do is going to be touched by AI. It's already being touched by AI, but it's going to become more touched by AI, or IE, as you would say. But more touched by AI, and it needs to be, it's going to be a part of all the solutions that you're going to build. Be good at maintaining and leveraging networks. This is something that we work very hard in our acceleration programs to teach the entrepreneurs that are coming through the programs, is how to build a network, how to maintain a network, how to leverage a network. We can't do anything alone, and it's all about our networks. Continuous self-learning. The entrepreneurial journey is truly a journey of education. So be good at self-learning and be good at public speaking, because you'll do a lot of it. If you don't like public speaking, if you don't like getting up in front of a crowd, go learn how. Or don't become an entrepreneur, because you'll be talking to a lot of strangers and you'll be doing it in environments just exactly like this. And be comfortable saying, I don't know, because you're going to be saying it a lot. If you think you already know the answer to something, promise you don't. So be very, very comfortable saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Investor, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Customer, that's a really interesting point. I hadn't thought about that. Let us research it and come back to you. Startups are hard. I mean, they're like really, really, really hard, right? Okay, she agrees. Startups really, really, really. But why are they so hard? Why? What makes them so hard? It's evolutionary. It's truly evolutionary. We as people, in the back of our reptilian brains somewhere, deeply buried in our reptilian brains, we have this fear. It's a self-protection fear. So consequently, anything that looks risky, we run away from. Our instincts tell us to do it. Startups are risky. The other thing that we have as humans is humans are by nature social. And by nature, we're pack animals. We run as a pack, we run as a group. And what happens in a pack? In a pack, the older animals teach the younger animals. This is how you eat. This is what you kill. This is what you avoid. This is where you sleep. This is how you protect yourself. These are, and that's taught from the older animal to the younger animal. And then when the younger animal becomes a little older, it teaches it to the next younger animal. So we run as groups, and we're social animals. We like to run as packs. But most importantly, what do we run on? We run on instructions. We like instructions. The folk, there aren't instructions for startups. There's two things in life that I can think of where you don't have instructions. One is for those of you that have children or will have children, you'll find out they didn't come with instruction manuals. There is no instruction manual. So where's the manual? There isn't one. Children don't come with instruction manuals. Startups don't come with instruction manuals either. For the most part, you're doing it for the first time, and nobody else is there to tell you how to do it. So instructions are everywhere in our lives. When we were in school, we went to class. Did we have to figure out algebra by ourselves? No. The teacher taught us how to do algebra. So we were instructed. That's why they call classes instructions. This is why universities exist. It is because it's a way that we communicate instructions from the older animals to the younger animals in the pack. Recipes. Very few of us, because I ever cook without a recipe. Again, I'll point to my partner, Mark, here in the front row. He's very good at making something out of nothing, but that also translates to the way that he builds businesses too, because he builds businesses out of nothing, just the same way. He finds all these odds and ends and puts them together. And the next thing you know, he's got a proposal for another business for us to start. but he cooks the same way. But for the most of us, we have. So if you go on to the New York Times, you're gonna and you'll want to bake chocolate chip cookies. You're gonna find there's 20,000 recipes. This is a fact. There's 20,000 recipes for chocolate chip cookies. Why? Because it's our nature to have somebody else tell us how to do something. It's evolution is part of the back of our reptilian brains, as I said before. Go on YouTube. I did it. Type in how to. Just type how to in the search bar of YouTube. That's what you get. YouTube, well, you can find a video on YouTube on how to do anything. But type in how to be an entrepreneur. You won't find very much. I mean, you'll find some hints at it, but you won't find very much because we want to follow instructions, and instructions aren't included. So evolution drives us to the safety and security that we are instinctively tend to. And entrepreneurship truly means embracing the unknown and constantly adapting. And isn't that what nature does? Isn't that what Mother Nature does? When Mother Nature finds a mistake, she adapts. We evolve. That's why we're here today, and that's why almost everything around us is living, is evolved because it evolved through an adaptation. So what am I supposed to do about this? Okay, I want to be an entrepreneur and there's no instructions. I can't go to YouTube. What do I do about it? Go first. Stop looking for them. You aren't gonna find them. I promise you aren't gonna find them. Two is start experimenting. Just try something. If it doesn't work, try something different. That goes back to the Mother Nature term. Just try. Embrace the mistakes you're going to make because you're going to make them. You will make mistakes. We all do. Embrace as I think it was, when was it? One of the was it Jobs? No, it wasn't Jobs. One of the examples we had before is failure is inevitable. Those are mistakes. Just embrace them. Learn from them. They're the best teachers you have. Accept the chaos. This is a chaotic career that you're considering. Accept the chaos because the chaos is around us, and it's part of what makes it fun. If we wanted jobs, we could sit in the cube all day long, then I think we would be not sitting in this room. Relish the journey. It's a fun journey, but understand that you're going to fail. Yes, you're going to fail. Now, when I put that slide up there, probably many of you were saying, "Oh God, failure. Oh my, I have to hide myself. I can't be seen in around my friends of society anymore." This is interesting because as startup entrepreneurs and investors in the United States, we recognize failure. And in fact, I can tell you that there are venture firms, particularly on the West Coast, where it's a little crazy on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast, where they won't invest in an entrepreneur unless the entrepreneurs had at least one failure. They won't talk to them unless they've had a failure, because failure is how they learn, and they recognize that. Because most of us are pretty smart. If we do something once and it doesn't work, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. Culturally, I know failure in Latin America and many places of Europe, failure is considered something that you have to hide from. We embrace failure. So I encourage you to embrace failure too. There's an awful lot of advice on failure. Most of the books that are written talk about failing fast. Now that's a catchy phrase, and it's a catchy way to sell. It's an enticing way to sell books. But I'm going to tell you, I think it's wrong. Failing fast is not your objective. You want to fail efficiently. You want to learn from the failures. You want to do it quickly. You want to plan for failure. Because if you don't plan for failure, what you're really doing is planning to fail. So preparation is key to building a startup. Is doing your homework, preparing, and understanding that failure is inevitable. So we all see we've all seen this thing of the tortoise and the hare. The story, the fable of the tortoise and the hare is the rabbit. Is fat and take off. But the tortoise always wins. He always wins. Why? It's simple. Because the rabbit, while he's fast, he just gets off running and said, I'll just beat everybody when I get there. The tortoise, on the other hand, is smart. The tortoise said, okay, why do you use all this energy? I'm going to plan my route. I'm going to decide where I'm going, how I'm going to get there. And then I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get there deliberately. And in the end, he always wins because he can. And the tortoise always loses because he didn't. The same is nearly always true in startups and entrepreneuring as well. So it is all about preparation. We all start with a brilliant idea. So this is how you do it. We all start with a brilliant idea. Write it down. If you don't write it down, write down your assumptions behind that idea so that you know what those assumptions are and everybody you talk to knows what those assumptions are. That's the first step. Second step, this is one that the rabbits don't prepare for, is they didn't go talk to anybody. They didn't go talk to real customers. They don't have intellectually honest conversations. They go to the customers and they say, isn't my idea brilliant? This is what I want. And most people are generally nice at first, and they'll say, oh, yeah, Mark, that's a really interesting idea. That's a really interesting idea. You can Mark go, I'm not picking on Mark, I can see that. Mark will go, oh, the world loves it. Let's do it. We're gonna go do it. We're gonna go spend money, we're gonna take time, we're gonna run around, we're gonna do it. And only to find out that if Mark asked a second and a third question, maybe the person has said, it's a brilliant idea, Mark, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? No, I hadn't thought about that. Well, maybe I think about it. And then go talk to another potential customer and another potential customer and find out what they said. And you'll find that now you're the tortoise. Now you're planning your route. Do your market research. That's part of the whole market research thing. And I said you need to be good researchers. This is why you need to be good researchers, because you're going to know on the research will help you in that sense. Review your assumptions and adjust, like my time did. Review your assumptions and adjust them. So change course, up, maybe it's a little pivot there. Sometimes it might be a big pivot. Sometimes it may be to stop. Validate. Build some goals and milestones. Now you have a plan. Build the initial product. Go back up and test your assumptions again. See that in fact, what you implemented was really what the customer was telling. Revisit the assumptions. Then launch the business and thrive. So I refer to this, or we refer to this as, first go out and see if the dog is hungry and find out what the dog wants to eat. And then you make the first bag of dog food. And you take the first bag of dog food out and give it to the dogs. And if the dog likes it, then you're probably on the right track. And you can make more dog food. You start your dog food company like soy here. Or you can say, well, maybe that recipe wasn't right, I'm going to fix it. Or maybe the fact is, I'm making cat food and the dogs don't want cat food. So maybe I should get it and start selling that food to cats. There's all kinds of things you can learn from that. So, and we talked about this, so it's also understand that the world may tell you that your idea sucks. And if your idea sucks, don't be afraid to put it. Mark and I will both tell you that we have businesses that are sitting in boxes in our garages because they didn't work. And we decided to stop them before they were real. But we relish that. The other thing that's really funny about it is that sometimes 5 years later, you go back and you're reading through the boxes in the garage and you say, wait a minute, that idea that was so bad 5 years ago is mainstream now. Time to bring that one back out. So again, those failures is not a permanent thing. Let's talk about local and global. I'm going to get slightly personal now into what our business is, so you know what our context and why we talk. So, ScaleUp Labs has a business that you know us by in Latin America called ScaleUp LatAm. ScaleUp LatAm is, we refer to it as a bi-directional entrepreneurial superhighway that connects the really promising technology-based startup businesses with Latin America, with the United States, with the United States knowledge. This is part of it. Our acceleration programs that we do are part of it. With the United States markets, which are much larger than the Latin American markets, in most cases, and with the United States capital. And we apply capital very differently. And it really started in 2018, I'm sorry, with Rose's Development Solutions Foundation conference when we recognized the opportunity was here. And this journey has carried us across Latin America. It's allowed us to build a venture capital fund here in Latin America. There's a domicile in Santiago, Chile, and it's carried us to Europe. So we now connect Latin America, the United States, and Europe with the stylish needs. And in this room today, from our current cohort, our current 2024 cohort, we have companies that are portfolio companies of ours that came from Latin America. And we have a portfolio company sitting in the room today that came from the Netherlands, Italy, through that program. So we truly do connect Latin America, Colombia to the world from here. That's effectively what we do. What is our business all about? We serve three distinct communities in ScaleUp Labs. The first community we serve is the entrepreneurial community, which is this one up here. Early stage technology businesses. Again, what we're doing today is part of that. The second community we serve is large corporations, companies who are looking to innovate, but don't have the risk profile to do it as successfully as they'd like to. And the last community we serve is the capital markets. So needs of the entrepreneurial community are investment capital, gas in the tank to make the car go, and access to the markets. Those are the two things that any building a business needs. That's what we try to support. We support that through our acceleration programs. So our ScaleUp LatAm acceleration program, our ScaleUp Europe acceleration program. We're actually about to expand in Israel with the ScaleUp Middle East program vis-a-vis Israel. Second community we serve is the corporations. We talked about the risk profile of corporations. What do the corporations need? They need breakthrough innovations which come from that entrepreneurial community, but they don't access it. And they also need new lines of revenue to build their businesses and continue to grow their business. We support that community through our advisory work. Our advisory work is work where we help these corporations to build their strategies on growth and innovation. And of course, in building those strategies, we give them insights and access that they wouldn't otherwise have because they don't talk to the community. They don't talk to the entrepreneurial community up there very well. And again, the last community we serve is the international capital markets. Now, you think you're sitting on a big pile of money, big pile of other people's money to invest as we do as investors, that would be an easy job. It's just as hard a job as being an entrepreneur, quite frankly, because you got to find companies to invest in. You got to find good companies to invest in. And there's a lot, you got to kiss a lot of frogs before you find prince. So they need investable companies and they need exit opportunities. The fact that we work in the underserved markets here in Latin America and to some extent the underserved markets of Europe We give them access to investable companies that they wouldn't otherwise see. But they need opportunities in order to get a return on the capital they put into those companies. So again, that's what we do. And we pull this all together. We invest in that. We pull this all together in ScaleUp Labs in Boston, where we originate. We originate new companies in our venture studio in Boston. But we do it in a little bit different way. We do it to the benefit of the corporate communities, with the access coming from the international entrepreneurial communities, with the capital that we bring from the United States and elsewhere, bring them together to form new companies, many times from companies that come from Europe or come from Latin America, that we put together in what we call as catalytic combinations to create new, bigger, better companies that will be attractive to the capital markets and attractive to the corporate world, which represent technology access, market access, and in many cases represent the exit opportunities of those companies and their investors see. That's what we do in ScaleUp LatAm. That's the perspective that I bring to you here today as part of this. We do it from Boston. This is from in front of our offices in Boston, in Temple Square in Cambridge. We actually work in a place called, see this right up here, it says CIC. That stands for the Cambridge Innovation Center. We're on the campus of MIT. Boston is a really unique ecosystem. That sign really speaks to what happens in Boston. There's an entrepreneurial energy there that is absolutely palpable in the air. You can feel it. The innovation that happens there is incredible. From that time, I could almost throw a rock and hit Amazon's World AI Headquarters, Google's World AI Headquarters, Microsoft's World AI Headquarters, Modena, the pharmaceutical company, Raper Labs, literally from it's within all of those within a 2-minute walk of that particular spot. And right behind where what that picture is shaking from is the MIT Sloan School of Business. Boston's unique. There's 63 major colleges and universities within a 10-kilometer radius of the center of Boston where that picture is taken. So it's a really kind of unique ecosystem. This is where we do it from. So enough talking about us. Let's talk about some of the things that I've learned over my years of being a startup entrepreneur and believing I have the stars to show from it, so forth. So start a business, not a startup. A business has a path to profit. Startup, otherwise it's just a hobby. So if you're doing something because you don't want to make a path to profit, don't call it a startup, and don't start down an entrepreneurial route. Just call it a hobby. You'll be happier and you'll be less frustrated. Second lesson is ignore the real world. Ignore it. Forget about it. The real world is just a place where people will tell you you can't do things. The real world is a place where do you think that we'd have Teslas if Elon Musk was thinking about the real world? Do you think Elon Musk, I'm fighting Elon Musk, do you think Elon Musk would have formed SpaceX, his private space company, if he paid attention to the real world? So it's a place where this is a place where foreign concepts aren't well received. Unfamiliar approaches will always lose in the real world, but it's not an excuse for not trying. The real world, remember I said we talked about entrepreneurs are the ones who where other people see problems, we see opportunities. The real world is where people see problems, but we don't see them as problems, we see them as opportunities. So ignore the real world. Embrace risk. Risk is your friend. Corporations manage risk. Entrepreneurs embrace it. Risk is what gives us the opportunity. Risk is what gives us the chance for greater concerns. So forget risk. I mean, if you look at it, if you talk to someone who comes from a corporation, that's the reason that they don't innovate very well. It's because they look at it as risky. That's why they love the entrepreneurial world. It's because we look at the risk and the staff. Screw it. We'll take that risk. We're not afraid to lose. That's why our Venn diagram is so important. Is because we help build a bridge between these two worlds so that they can coexist and benefit from one another. Two most important questions you're going to ask. As an entrepreneur, if you don't write anything else down, if you don't remember anything else we talked about in this 50 minutes, remember these two questions. So what? Who cares? Those are the two most important questions you can ask yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, so what? Who cares? And to answer those questions honestly. Because that's how you decide if your business is really a business, if you're really going anywhere. And it's so hard for the entrepreneur to ask those questions. Because in order to do that, you have to be willing to admit that maybe your baby is ugly. And nobody wants to think that their baby is ugly. So those are the two most important questions you can. If you don't think of anything else, remember that. I can't read this. Live it or leave it. Live it or leave it. Because that goes back to the hobby question. Is if you're really building a business, stand for it. Live it every day. It's not a hobby. It's something that you really have to commit yourself to. I tell a story often to early entrepreneurs. I'll ask them a question. This is when they're in the program. I'll say, are you a chicken or are you a pig? And they look at me. They don't have to answer the question. Are you a chicken or are you a pig? I say, I don't know what that means. So, okay, think of a breakfast of huevos y chicharrón. You've got your huevos and your chicharrón on the plate. The chicken is involved in the breakfast. The chicharrón, the pig, he's fully committed. So if you want to build a startup, you have to be pigs. You can't be chickens. No time is no excuse. You know, there's always enough time if you spend it right. So if you're constantly afraid of doing something, then you're not prioritizing properly. So no time is no excuse. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. So growth, not profits, are the primary objectives in the startup. U.S. investors want you to grow your business. They don't care about you. In the early stages, they don't care about your profits. They don't care about your EBITDA. They care about growth. They care about because they're looking to build that enterprise value in the business. But if you're not growing, even if your profits are getting better, then your business is shrinking. So profits will follow later after growth. The initial funding, where's the initial funding going to come from? You're all asking yourself that. There's a simple answer to this question. The initial funding is not going to come from other people's money. It's not. Other people's money will come later, but only after you've proven your business will people take the risk in you. The initial funding is going to come from you, from your own pockets, from your own credit cards, from your own bank accounts, and I know I'm getting it. But I get extra time because it took it. So I'm almost done. Failure is inevitable, but it's not a rite of passage. We talked about that. Learn from your failures. Evolution doesn't linger on past failures. Mother Nature moves quickly ahead to fix whatever's broken. So learn from that. But when you do fail, as we talked before, fail efficiently. Don't fail spectacularly, fail efficiently. Planning is guessing. Planning is always guessing because planning you're looking behind, not in front, not in front. So don't spend all your time writing a plan. Spend your time doing something. Spend your time out talking to customers. Spend your time learning. Spend your time asking questions. Spend your time doing those things versus saying, I can sit in my house or in my co-working space, whatever, and write the perfect plan, because guaranteed you don't know it. There are no original ideas, none. There's no such thing as an original idea. The world is really, really full of smart people, and there's billions of us. Guaranteed, anything, any idea any of you have in this room, somebody's already thought of and may already be doing it. That's good, because when an entrepreneur comes to us and says, we don't have any competition, we know that that entrepreneur does not know what they're doing. Oops. Get a happy band of volunteers. Can't do this alone. Every startup is made up. I see you, Elizabeth. Every startup is made up of people who believe in you and want to come along and join you on your mission. So get a happy band of volunteers. I'll skip those. Don't think that you are the company. You're not the company. So strategy has always been to surround myself by good people. When I duck down the steep, not the back while nobody's looking. Don't think you're the company. You're part of the company. All you are is the leader. You're only as good as the team that you build around you. Pick a fight. Fights are good. Competition is good. Fights give us all something to rally around, to get to give it, to build us energy. So pick a fight. Be happy to pick a fight. Don't get carried away with your ideas. I like Gilbert. I have a great idea for a startup company. All I need is an investor and an engineer to do all the work. And she says, I think what you really have is nothing. The economic term for what you really have is nothing. So don't fall in love with your idea. Go implement your idea. Get a life. This is, I saw Jose's slide up there he had earlier, but people were saying that they think that they'll make more money as an entrepreneur, they'll think they'll have a better lifestyle as an entrepreneur, and so on and so forth. Being a startup entrepreneur is all consuming. It's a 7-day-a-week job. But at the same time, make time for yourself. Have to make time for yourself. You have to make time for your family. And do not let it define you 100%. And the last one, sales is not a department. For those of you that are coming from the corporate world, there's always a sales department and so forth. Sales is not a department. Accounting is a department. Finance is a department. In a startup, everyone is in sales and everyone is always selling. Otto from our Daniel last night, who's one of our portfolio companies, came into the dinner last night and he said, Gregg, we're coming to this conference and we're going to get 2 new customers while we're at this conference. And I said, well, good luck, Otto. And he says, hey, listen, you taught us always be selling, always be selling. So he's here. You'll find you someplace, I promise you, always selling. So just remember that in a startup, everybody's in sales. The CEO's in sales, the VP of R&D is in sales, the CTO's in sales, the person who is answering the phone is in sales. Everybody is always selling. Thank you very much. It's been fun to be with you. Thank you, Rosa. And you can get me there. Sorry I went over.